Kumar Jeeves. Keep stretching. Keep stretching, Kumar Jeeves.
My physical therapist, Dr. Keys, suggested that I do these stretches whenever I get a chance. When I went to see him last, he said, "Kumar, you have carpal tunnel syndrome." Carpal tunnel syndrome? What is that? I panicked. How did I get it? Is it fatal? Am I going to die? Oh Lord, this is it for me, isn't it? Calm down, Kumar. It's just a pinched nerve in your hand. You must have been working long hours on the computer. Can you reduce the amount of time you spend on it? No. Absolutely not. Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. The real reason I couldn't was because I'd recently started playing an online battle strategy game called Stick Empires. Dun, dun, dun. I'm not addicted to it. I play it whenever I have time. Lunchtime, break time, bedtime, off time, this time, that time, anytime. All the time. And this would be the worst time to reduce my commitment to this game. That's because I just qualified for the world tournament by beating a player called Robbie the Robot. Robbie the Robot is a legend, top-ranked player in the Stick Empires world. I imagine him as a real Navy SEAL, out there in actual battle. Doom! Doom! Who comes back to his barracks each evening and decompresses by playing Stick Empires. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He clearly uses his advanced military strategies training to reach the higher echelons of the Stick Empire's world. And I beat him. He could also just be a 10-year-old in Nebraska. Regardless, I have never been this good at anything. And I likely never will be. So no, Dr. Keys, I cannot reduce the amount of time I spend on the computer. The filmmaker, John Waters, once said, "Without obsessions, life is nothing." My life has been characterized by a series of obsessions. My wife is now used to it. After 8 years together, we've figured out how to work around each other's quirks. For instance, typically when she comes back home from work, she goes into this long speech about how her day went, what annoyed her, why her coworker is an idiot and the boss buffoon. I have a technique that I use when she goes into these long spiels and I'm doing something that I'm obsessed about. Like watching the Breaking Bad series for the third time. I listen to her long enough to get a gist of what she's trying to say. Then I go back to watching Mr. White cook up crystal meth on TV. I'll sporadically look back at her and nod. If she's smiling, I smile back. That's great, honey. If she's frowning, I shake my head with disapproval. If she's saying something emphatically, I'll say, "No way!" Or, "That's crazy!" And this works 99% of the time. However, Stick Empires is breaking down my technique. These days, I'm so engrossed in the game that I don't even realize that she has come back home, sitting next to me, and is halfway through her speech. She's on to me. She's figured out that I'm not paying attention to her, so she's been messing with me and saying absolutely crazy things just to prove her point. Like the other day, she came back home. Hey honey, I'm home. And then seeing me playing stick empires on the computer, added, oh, by the way, I think I accidentally hit your car on the way to the garage. You might want to get it checked out tomorrow. My response, that's great, honey. She then proceeded to do several things to try and distract me. Unsuccessfully. That are clearly inappropriate to talk about in this PG-13 speech. I can no longer deny my wife her one true pleasure in life. The attentive company of her lovable and adorable husband. After a lot of reflection, I have decided to retire from stick empires. After the World Championships, of course. Mason Cooley, the Columbia professor, said, cure of an obsession? Just get a new one. Just like the previous contestant, I've signed up for a triathlon and got 3 new ones. You know it, swimming, running, and biking. And this time I'm definitely stretching. Dr. Keys would be so proud of me. Friends, all we have is this one wild and precious life. So follow your passions, but make sure they work for the entire you. Your worse half and your better half. And always remember what Dr. Keys says at the end of each of his sessions. Keep stretching.